everyone, welcome. Today I'm going to cover the topic that gets asked so much is why not just have surgery to fix abdominal separation, to fix the belly, anything that's going on with the belly after having babies. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Erica Zeal, creator behind the Core Rehab program and Nocta Fitness programming. And this is a big topic of conversation. I get asked all the time on social media. People will email me. And the biggest thing with this that I really want you to understand is that when you have surgery, no matter what surgery that is, number one, if you have to be, if you have to have anesthetic, there's always the risk with that. So I'm always like, if you don't have to have surgery, let's see what we can do to avoid surgery. Surgery sounds simple initially when it's like, oh, well, you can just go have surgery to fix that. But without talking about the cost behind that, the potential outcomes, all of those things that could be, part of having surgery. And the piece that I really want to bring awareness to, because it's not talked about, is when you have surgery, you are creating more scar tissue because the surgeon is cutting into your body and suturing something up. Again, if we're specifically talking abdominal separation, you could be left with this nice big scar all the way down your belly, and then you have this junked up scar tissue, or junked up fascia as I like to call it. So fascia is all the connective tissue in your body. It runs through your body, it covers your organs, it goes through the muscles, and it's such a big part of your body. And if we cut the connective tissue, then when it heals, it creates scar tissue, which is really, again, kind of junked up fascia for an easy way of explaining it. And so if we're not really taking the time to understand how we can heal our core, how we can properly actually strengthen our core, all that surgery does, while it might bring the space together, you are left with a lot of scar tissue. And so what that could potentially cause, and again, everybody's bodies are different, but I want to bring this conversation about. So if you are someone who's been considering surgery, ask your surgeon about this. Ask other women who have had the surgery, because if you're left with scar tissue down the middle of your abdominal wall, but the connective tissue, the fascia, and if you don't realize that through the middle of our abdominal wall are layers of fascia. There's very little muscle right down the middle of our abdominal wall, which is why we see a lot of the separation. But the cool part about this is that we can learn, and we can do so much through proper breathing, proper posture, learning specific exercises and techniques, which is exactly what I teach in my Core Rehab program. And it is helping women to prevent them from going and having surgery when they may have thought, well, I just have to have surgery because that's what their OB tells them. That's what people say is, well, you have to have surgery to fix it, but you don't. And again, having that surgery leads to scar tissue. So if we have this scar tissue down the middle of our abdomen, all the way down, for many, if you're going to have a full reconstructive of the diastasis recti, then what potentially could be happening is that we've got really tight scar tissue down the middle of your belly, and off to the sides of it, we have weak fascia because we've never re-strengthened it. And then down the road, we could be having more pulling, and then could lead to other tears and hernias through the abdominal wall if we never really re-strengthen through our core. So not only do I teach you the ins and outs and answer so many questions and give you the tips and tools that you need to really re-strengthen your core, because again, surgery might actually bring the separation together, but we haven't fixed the fact that it's weak. And it's weak for the fact that you've been pregnant, whether it's once had twins, I've had 3 babies. I've experienced abdominal separation myself, and I have had these conversations with surgeons purely from I'm curious, why is it? And this is the surgeon that I talked to. He was great because he says the problem is you'll end up with this huge scar down the middle of your belly. So is that really fixing anything for you? Now you have scar tissue to deal with. And what I really want to get across and to teach, and this also includes pelvic floor strength, when we're talking incontinence and we start talking prolapsing, and if that sounds foreign to you, you need to learn and educate us to understand what that is, because we can prevent that. We can work to prevent incontinence, or if you're starting to experience incontinence issues, know that that is not a normal part of motherhood. However, many people think it is. I don't want to get too off track because I want to talk about this more down the road, but I do want you to understand that when we're talking abdominal separation, we're not just talking about the abdominal wall. We are talking about your entire deep core, which includes your pelvic floor. It includes the deep layers of the muscles and the fascia. And this is where in my program, I teach so much and I get you to really understand what that feels like. We need to do more fascial training for our abdominal wall if we're going to really create amazing, good, deep core strength. If you want to get your belly flat again, because again, having surgery doesn't necessarily make it flatter, because if we're not stronger to really hold our organs in, and that's another little piece that we don't talk about, is that if the connective tissue is really weak in your abdomen and you feel like, you know, you've had a baby 2 years ago and people still ask you what, or ask you if you're pregnant or when are you due and things like that. And a big part of that is that the deep core has never really been re-strengthened. But I want you to know that you can do that. That's the biggest, most important thing, is that there is so much that we can do, and it's through actually stimulating new fascia, new connective tissue to be created, and we're working from the inside outward. So we start to pull in, we start to give your body support, not only for your abdominal wall, but for your back, for your pelvic floor, improving your posture. It all goes together. It's not just a piece of the body that needs to be attended to, it's the entire core. And I'm working all the time with clients when they first come in. I see a lot of the tucked hips and they can't engage the core, or they've been drawing belly to spine, and that actually really helps you to shut off your core, your deep core. And we want to work to create length through the body. And that length and really tapping in to the deep core is where we really start to feel and stimulate the fascia to create new fascia. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. These are techniques that can take time to learn, but that's a big part of what I teach in my core rehab program is knowledge. Knowledge is power, mamas. I cannot stress that enough. And a big piece of what I teach is not just doing the exercises. It's implementing these little tiny changes that I teach throughout the tutorials to how to do specific things and how to apply it to your life. I know you're busy. I'm a really busy mom too. I get it that if you don't have time to work out, that's okay. I want you working out, and I want you doing it appropriately, and I want you choosing exercises that are appropriate for your core and your pelvic floor and your low back, and they're actually helping you to become stronger. And we're not so focused on just working out to burn calories and lose the baby weight. It's more about creating amazing fascial networking and strength through our body, because there's so much that we can do. We just have to learn how to do it. So I really, really teach a lot of that. I have tutorials for you to watch because I believe in the power of educating and knowledge. And again, because we're busy mamas, you're up and down from the ground all the time. You spend a lot of time on the floor with your little ones. Work on the breath that I teach in the core rehab program. Work on the posture that I teach. Do a couple of your favorite exercises while you're on the ground with your little one playing. And in the long run, you are going to see and feel such strength that you can create now that will stay with you for the rest of your life. It can help to decrease aches and pains. We can work to heal the abdominal separation, because more important than actually bringing that separation completely back together is the fascial strength there, because we want to be able to support our lumbar spine, our lower back. We want to give our hips support so we don't get wonky hips and having pain in them, because pregnancy does so much by spreading the hips, and then when they come back together they may or may not be super strong. And that's where, when we are learning how to strengthen our deep core, it is for the entire body. It's not just for your abdominals. I really want you to think of, we want to really work through the whole body, and that's where we're going to start to see huge progress being made with those of you that do have abdominal separation, or maybe you just feel like your core is weak. The same methods work for everybody, because the foundational concepts are we have got to strengthen our deep core. And the sooner you learn to do it, the easier life is going to be for you. You're going to move more easily. You are going to move more pain-free. And even if you're in between and you know you're going to have another baby down the road, and throw out the attitude of, oh, well, I'll just wait till I have another baby. I cannot stress this enough. I started out really working with prenatal women, and that's where my programming was. And I've realized the power in doing so. If you can really work, you don't have to work out a lot either. That's the other big thing. You do not have to work out a lot. You just have to learn these techniques, and you have to apply them to your life. And a little bit really, really can go a long way. So when we are learning these techniques, and again, especially if you're planning to have another baby, working in between those pregnancies, even if you only have a couple months or a couple weeks, you can really do so much to create these new amazing fascial networking through your body, to create a stronger core, a stronger pelvic floor, but learning how not to have too strong of a pelvic floor, because we can have too strong of a pelvic floor. Start to recognize maybe I'm gripping in my obliques and my low back, and that's pulling on the separation of my abdominal wall. And we start to wake these things up, and before you know it, you're like, wow, my separation is closing. I'm feeling stronger in my core, and it has blown me away. I've literally had tears when I read some testimonials from moms that are like, oh my gosh, I felt hopeless. I just was told I had to have surgery, and now I feel so much better. My separation is starting to close. My belly is getting flatter again. And the most important thing is that you feel good, right? When we feel good physically, it also affects us emotionally, and vice versa. We actually hold emotion in our fascia, which again, that connective tissue that I'm talking about, and it tends to go to our trouble spots in our body. And so when we work to wake that up and move more effectively and efficiently, it can be an absolute life changer. So know that you can get your core to be stronger. You can work to heal abdominal separation, incontinence issues, low back pain. It's all connected together. It's not just one piece at a time. It's the whole spectrum of what's going on through your torso, how you're carrying your body. And by learning these techniques, it's amazing how it literally can change your life. Because you're going to feel better when you are out there running around with your little kids or on the floor with your baby. You can incorporate all of this into your life. So be sure to check it out. And we're going to really open up this conversation about deep core and how you can really do so much for your body now, and it really is instilling these amazing habits that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So check it out, ericazeal.com.